Hi everyone. So this is the next lecture for the low vision part, which is going to be on non-optical devices. Okay. So the basic idea of this non-optical devices is to make the image that is seen by the patient to look big, brighter, and bolder. Okay, basically, when patient comes into the clinic, we will do the assessment. Obviously, we'll do the history taking, and then we will do assessment, which I already covered earlier. And also, the next thing that we would do on this patient is to manage the problem that the patient is having. So usually, the major problem that patient would be having is distance blur vision and also the near blur vision. So these two will be the main problem. And for to correct that, we already looked at what are the low vision devices that are available for patients. Okay, in terms of their distance vision blur complaint and also to manage the near vision blur of vision. Okay, so it doesn't mean that all the patients that have this vision problem will be benefiting from the low vision devices that is available like telescope, magnifiers. Okay, so they're not going to be benefiting from that. Okay, so that is the reason why I taught you during the decision making when it comes to telescope after you try with the three devices, how to make the decision. The first rule that I taught you is only if the VA, the target VA is achieved by the patient, then only we prescribe to the low vision patient. Okay, it is not like spectacles. If let's say there is an improvement, we prescribe, right? That doesn't apply to low vision devices. Okay, low vision devices is not prescribed if the vision shows improvement. Instead of that, we only prescribe to the patients the low vision devices if they achieve the target that they want to achieve. Like for example, if let's say patient wants to look at bus number, the vision that they should have is 6'9", for example. If let's say the telescope shows improvement from 660 up to 612, although there is a huge improvement in the patient, but we are not going to prescribe that to the patient. Okay, the reason why is one, the target is not achieved. Number two, telescope is not used full time like a spectacles. Okay, that is the reason why we prescribe telescope even though there is improvement by only 1 or 2 line. Because we varied all the time, that clarity that we get with the 2 line improvement will be benefiting the patient. On the other hand, when it comes to low vision devices, is only used when it is needed. Okay, like telescope is only used when it is needed and it is only for short-term activity. Okay, you look at bus number 1 2 seconds, then you put back in the bag or in your, you keep it in your pocket. Okay, so it's not being used like spectacles all the time. So that is the reason why only if let's say the VA is achieved by the patient, then we proceed to the prescription of the device. Otherwise, we don't do it. Okay, so that's the basic idea you should understand in terms of management of low vision patient. Okay, next thing is what you should know as an optometrist. If let's say this patient, although we already try to give glasses, it is not showing any improvement and patient not able to do certain activities. And then you try with telescope. If let's say the telescope, you try telescope to see whether it works for the patient to enable them to perform that activity or not. If let's say it's not working also, what is the next step that we do to the patient? Okay, that's when these non-optical devices also come into place. That is one purpose of these non-optical devices. Another thing, not all the problems that the patient is having, okay, related to the vision related complaint can be solved with sunglasses correction or low vision devices. Okay, there are more more problems, they are problems more than what a device can actually solve. Okay, so this additional problems can be solved with non-optical devices. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at through this lecture to see how non-optical devices helps in patient, okay, to make the image that they see is bigger, brighter, and bolder. That's the 3 Bs that you should know. And also how that this, by providing this, by providing this non-optical devices, how is that going to help patient in having a better quality of life and enable them to do their daily activities which without much struggle. Okay, it's not, I'm not saying that with this non-optical devices they're going to actually, have like a great life. No, but it is actually make things easier for them. Okay, comparing them to do that work or activity without any help. So this non-optical devices is going to assist them to do certain activities with, no much struggle. That's the idea of this non-optical device. It's not a solution, but it is going to assist them to have a better quality of life when they do certain activities. So this is OPT3475 low vision and further optometric care. So we are looking at non-optical devices or, or environmental changes. There are many names that can be given to this particular management. Okay, so it is actually, enable the, with the non-optical devices that we prescribe to patient, we actually expect them to have a better visibility of the image. So patient have better visibility of image. Like for example, there are many activities that will be restricted for patients who are actually visually impaired. Okay, like for example, if let's say they're sleeping at night, okay, the room will be fully dark. And then if they are looking for the switch, if let's say they need to use the washroom, in that duration. So how we can help that? How can we help them? If let's say the patient is having glaucoma, the sight vision is already affected, so the rods are already damaged, they have night vision problem, where when the place is dim illuminated, that's going to be difficult for them to actually move around. So how do we actually help the patient with? So that's when this telescope is not going to help them, magnifier is not going to help them, spectacles obviously is not helping them. That's why they're looking for non-optical devices. So when all this is not helping, it doesn't mean that they cannot go to washroom or use washroom, during that, period of time. So how we can actually modify certain things in the house to make them, make the journey from the bed to the toilet easier for them. So that is what we are trying to do, some modification, okay, to help them to do things, easily compared to the without any help. Okay, like for example, colored mark on a light switch to make it easier to see. Okay, we can have like a strips or cellophane tape or a marker pen, with a fluorescent colors which glows in the dark. That can be actually, paint on the socket, or you can be, a sticker to be put on socket, so that even if it is dark, the lights will be illuminated for patients to actually locate the toilet. Okay, next is raise mark above the surface so that it can be also felt easily. If let's say, they have things on, a table or somewhere. So for them to know how to differentiate between two devices, they can have a raised mark above. That means they can have like a, certain shapes to be sticked on the, on the material devices, so that they can actually differentiate that. Okay, so that can also be done. Next is removing any possible sources of scattered light for patient with low contrast sensitivity. Okay, this is extremely important, because now the current residential areas, right, or the current housing areas, if you go to any of the houses, right, there will be yellow lights. Okay, because it is actually, the yellow lights is actually giving some class to the house, with the classic look, with that orange, with the yellow lights. Okay, but that is not very comfortable for patients who are visually impaired. Okay, because the contrast is not 100% when they're using the yellow light. So it is actually advisable, for them to use a white light. And also the location of the light is also plays a main role. Okay, like for example, when they take staircase, right? Okay, now the current trend is to have the lights on the wall, but the ideal way is to have the lights on the ceiling. So when you have the lights on the ceiling, right, the flat steps, right, will be, in a brighter color, while the vertical, areas, right, it will be dark. So that contrast of bright and black gives the patient a cue on how to take staircase without getting trip and fall. Okay, so it is important for us to make the changes according to the patient's needs lah. Okay, so the wall light actually scatters the light that falls on the steps, which make the patient might have difficulties in getting into the getting up in the staircase. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, next one is the Faltic pen. So this is also very another example of how the visibility of the image is improved with a Faltic pen. Okay, when a kid is actually going to school, right, usually what they will be using, either they will be using a 2B pencils, mechanical pencils, or if let's say they are in the secondary school, they will be using pens. Okay, so this is how they write the record down or write down, do homeworks and all that. They'll be using this. But the drawback of this, pens and also the pencils, right? Okay, the nib will be very, very thin. Okay, when it is very thin, right, when they write it on the books, it will not be able to be read by the patient because it is too fine. So to overcome that, what usually we will advise the patients is to have a felt tip pen, okay, for secondary school kids. If let's say they are primary school kids, then it is bold pencils. Okay, the one that we use is 2Bs. Okay, there are 4Bs, 6Bs that which you can get from stationery shops or Shopee. So when they write, they can write in a felt tip pens which has a bolder shapes of the letters or any drawings that makes the patient easier to actually read what they have written. Or if let's say they need to actually write some documents or fill up some documents, they wouldn't feel difficult because of this very fine pencils and pens. Next is line papers which are thicker and darker, like students last time they used to use what do you call this, a test pads. Okay, if you see test pads comes with underlines, and the underlines are very fine. Okay, so this can be actually modified for patients who are in secondary school mostly, where they use a test pad. Okay, so line papers which are thicker and darker can be also recommended to the patient, so that the image that they see is in a better contrast, okay, better visibilities. Okay, so that when they write, they can write in a straight line. Okay, because they able to see the lines because it's darker and thicker. So that helps them to write in line and also able to view what they are looking at. Okay. And also there are available envelope checks and sign signature guides or typoscope, okay, which can be used for documentation purpose. If let's say the patient is an administrative staff, right, okay, which he has to sign a lot of reports, what they will be doing is they can have like a piece of paper with the cut in the middle, okay, following the size of the signing areas. So whenever patient has to actually sign documents, okay, which is already reviewed or something, okay, they can actually use the signature guide, put it on the signing area, and then sign in the box that is provided. So it is actually not improving them to see better, but it is actually making them to have like an easier way of doing this, rather than struggling and all that. Okay, another one is the light at the top of staircase, which I already explained. White cloth on dark table helps the patients to locate dark objects. Okay, if let's say you put like a tablecloth on a brown color table, right? Okay, which is dark. Then when you put anything on the bright color white color tablecloth. So if let's say you place anything like your khaki or your wallets, right, it's visible to the patient. So when it is visible to the patient, then it is actually will make more comfortable for them to actually, get something on the tables and all that. Okay. Tools, gardening tools can be carried around the house and garden in a large white bucket, because this, what do you call, these gardening tools, right? These gardening tools are mostly all in silver color. So these silver colors, right, it might not so visible. Okay, so if let's say you put them in a large white buckets, right, the bucket will be white and these tools will be in gray color. So it's easier for them to actually detect that. Okay. Next is decor include pale carpets and walls to reflect the available lights. Okay, so that if let's say the decoration in the house are very gothic kind of, decorations like full of dark black colors and all that, okay, it might be difficult for the patients, to move around. If let's say they have, if let's say they have, some vision related issue, right? Okay, if let's say the room is too dark, right, so the room might appear to be dim. So when it is dim, right, then it's very difficult for the um, elderly, for visually impaired person to move around. So with a pale carpets or walls in a white color, that actually give them the house to be brighter. When it is brighter, then it's easier for them to move around, locate things, get the things, without much hesitant. Okay. Next is if let's say the patient likes to cook, chopping board, rolling board, and cake mixture ball has to be, special ones. Okay, make sure the chopping board is safe for them to cut vegetables. Okay, the rolling board and also cake mixture ball. If let's say they are making chocolate cake, they can have the batter in a white Tupperware. If let's say if it is a white Tupperware or bowl, okay. If let's say they're making a butter cake, then they can actually have a darker bowl. Okay, so that it's easier for them to identify. So these are the one that I mentioned just now. Just give me a moment. Okay, this is felt tip pen, like marker pen, magic colors. They have the tip very thick. Okay, so that is what I meant by that. This one is the ruled paper, or sorry, line papers like touchpad. This is typoscope. Okay, if let's say they want to read something, they just can put it on the reading material and read through here. So if let's say they want to continue, they have to take this card and move to the side so that they're able to read the sentence. Okay, next one is the signature card. This is what I say. If let's say the person's job is only to sign, so they can use this to sign. Okay, and also the lighting. Okay, the top one has to be giving illumination to the flat stabs, and also for the vertical one is dark, so that when they take seconds it will be easier for them. Okay, so continuation of the non-optical devices is a sheet of black paper against the wall forms a useful background for pouring pale liquids. Okay, if you see, there are homes where the wall of the kitchen, right, the cooking stove, right, usually in black color, they can have like a some backgrounds there, so that when they pour water or they pour milk or coconut milk, any milk, right, that gives them a gives them, they're able to estimate how much they've already poured, because the contrast between the water and also the background will be higher, so that it's easier for them to detect that. Okay, to know how much that they have already how many cups of water or milk that they have already poured. While they're pouring, they can estimate, oh, this is too much already, we can stop. So that all the estimation will be very good. Okay, and then tea on white cups, serving tea on white cups, serving cups. So all these, and then glass tumblers which have colored plastic holders. Okay, so different colors have different plastic holders, and then it's easier and visible to the patient. Food on contrast colored face, plates, like for example, if let's say you're having carbonara, for example, so it should be served in a black color, plates. If let's say the patient is having, Hokkien mee, which is in black color, so they can have the, what do you call, can have that, white bowl, so that they know where the food is actually located. Okay. So, and handles of garden tools painted on bright yellow, not only putting them in a white bucket, but the handles are colored with the yellow, bright yellow paint will be very helpful, because if let's say it falls on a grass, okay, in the garden area, it's very easy to actually detect that. Okay, able to find out where is it located, because the contrast between the green and yellow, right, it is quite large, so it's visible to the patient. Okay, then brightly colored straps around suitcases. Okay, if let's say that patient likes to travel, likes to carry their, hand carries or anything, they can actually, the straps, they can buy straps in different colors, which they can actually wrap it on the suitcases, so that when they want to collect the luggage bag, they will be able to identify them with no much problem. Okay, so that also will be helpful. Next is colored electrical sockets or plugs. If let's say the patient is, they have like a number of, electric sockets and plugs, right? Okay, paint them or put a sticker with different colors. Okay, so this will help them to identify which and which. Okay. Next is toothpaste and shaving cream in different color tubes. If let's say they look similar, make sure they are being transferred into two different colors. Okay, and then colored next one is grab rails in bathroom with fluorescent tapes. This is very important, especially when patient wants to use the toilet in toilet. Then these rails will be very helpful with the fluorescent tapes, so the patient know where the rail is actually located. And kitchen utensils shouldn't be from a match set. That means if let's say it's a kitchen utensils, right, we do have the habit of it has to be in the same set. Okay, that means the mug, the cup, the plate, the spoon, the fork, all has to be the same match set. But when it comes to patients who are visually impaired, right, we can't do that, because these kitchen utensils, when they have the same design, right, they look the same. So it's very difficult for the patient to identify. If let's say they use like a mix match a set, it will be easier for them to actually get that take them without much struggle. Okay, if let's say they need a cup or glass and all that. Plastic freezer bags with colored strip, like they can have vegetables. Okay, different vegetables with different colors. Okay, maybe they can ask their helper, to get the freezer bags. Okay, and put them in the same color. Like for example, broccoli means in green color bag. If let's say it's a carrot, it's an orange bag. So it's easier for them. So by looking at the strips, they know that this is going to be, carrot in it, or this is going to be a broccoli inside this, or there's going to be beans inside this bag. So it will be easier for them. So this bright color cups, the strap, okay, the socket with different color, and then this one. Okay. Okay, other non-optical devices is going to be reading stand. Reading stand is one of the important one, because it's going to assist a lot in reading. Okay, whether if they are using magnifiers or without magnifiers also, reading stand is going to be helpful for visually impaired person, because usually this reading, patient will actually have a very close reading distance. So if let's say they're using at a very close reading distance, right, they have to bend down a lot when they actually want to look at the reading material. But if let's say they're using a reading stand, right, it'll be, you just need to place the reading document on the reading stand. You just need to forward to use or go closer to read. So that will help the patient to not have any problem with their back pain. Okay, or because prolonged use of prolonged, reading time, right? That might hurt their back. So this will be a good one. Okay, next is use large prints. Like school-going kids, advise the parents to provide them with the activity book, which is largely printed, from A4 to A4, A4, A4 to A3 sizes, such kind of things. So large prints. And then also patient with patient who are visually impaired, right? They have a lot of glare problem. We already discussed this earlier during the history taking lecture. Okay, so they have a lot of glare problem. Okay, so it is advisable if, let's say, the patient say that she has a lot of glare problem, then you can actually, prescribe the patient with tinted lenses. Okay, so that to cut off the glare problem they're having. And also talking books, watches, greeting cards or microwave, which is all talking. Okay, watch is talking. Greeting cards also, once you open the card, there will be like a happy birthday song singing. Or if, let's say, microwave, when you set the button, it says that, okay, this is for heating, this is for reheat, this is for fry. So you just follow that. Okay, and, prescribe to the patient according to their need. Okay, so that's all about the non-optical devices that is available. This is just a glimpse of the non-optical devices. There are many more that is available, and there is no standard for this. Okay, what I mean by there is no standard for this is, it is not like a telescope. You only have, like, one type for distance, and then this is how you have to do the calculation, and this is how you have to prescribe. But when it comes to this, non-optical devices is based on the, based on the complaint of the patient, how creative you are in actually, helping them to solve the problem. So this is very depending on the, the practitioners, on modifying this. Okay, modifying their daily activities so that, they have a better quality of life. Okay. And that's all. Thank you. We'll continue with nystagmus next.